Thank you very much. My name is Martin Gramatikov. I'm head of measuring justice at HiiL, which stands for Hague Institute for Internationalization of the Law, or as we call it, HiiL Innovating Justice. And today I will tell you about justice innovations. Before that, I want to tell you what I'm doing, how I'm measuring justice. This is indeed not very typical thing. Imagine you go home and your kids are looking in your hands. And you do the worst mistake a parent can do, bring one cookie for two kids. So they both want the cookie. You get the cookie, you split it, give it to them, and they immediately start crying. It's not fair, right? One of them will say, this part is bigger than this part. I want the bigger part. So what I do is I will take my measure. I will measure how much the different parts are. I will do some adjustments. I will give them the cookie. But then one will say, yeah, but I'm the older. I want bigger part. But then the younger will say, yeah, but I did more homework. And I will do measure again, and I will split it as they want, and will give it to them. And they will usually say, yeah, but you didn't listen to us. We weren't able to express our voice. Or you didn't respect us. Other parents, other fathers are much more respectful. So justice is not easy to measure. Justice is pretty difficult, and it's in the eyes of the beholders. But justice is important to be measured. Why? Because part of the Hague talks, we believe, should be focused on the huge amount of injustice and lack of fairness in this world. A recent report by UNDP says that 4 billion people in this world live outside of the protection of the rule of law. 4 billion people do not have adequate access to justice. We just saw one of the faces, and there are billions, probably not in such grave situations. But justice is not a universal commodity. It's not accessible to everyone. We do a lot of research in many different countries in the world, and we find that people face a lot of different problems in their daily lives. We found that 95%, literally everyone in Yemen, had to deal with difficult to resolve legal problems in their lives in the past 2-3 years. And very few of these people had access to lawyers. Very few of these people had access to legal aid, or one of the mechanisms that we believe are providing access to justice. More people in Yemen are going for justice to sheikhs than to courts. In Mali, when people have family problems, they will go for information not to a lawyer, but they will go to a griot or to a family member. They will go to the local village elder. So people look for justice in many different places, and very few people receive justice when they need it. Very few people have access to lawyers and to courts. Actually, also judges, we see in the Netherlands, judges are not advising friends and relatives to go to courts because they don't get great results there. So justice is missing a huge point. There is a lot of unfairness. So what is the answer usually? Usually the answer is more courts, train more lawyers, build prisons, etc., etc. This is more or less the medieval answer. And this in times when we see incredible rapid innovations in technology, in communication, in healthcare, transportation, everywhere. The world is changing. But justice, here is the innovation in telecommunication speaking. But justice is lagging behind. We are delivering justice pretty much the same as the Romans did. Our laws look pretty much like the Code of Hammurabi or the Justinianian Code looks like. So what is needed? At HiiL Innovating Justice in The Hague, we believe that what is needed is justice innovation. How justice innovation can be promoted? First, we believe that in order to advance justice innovations, you have to put the citizen, the user of justice, in the middle of the justice reform. If you know what people need, if you know what type of problems people experience, if you know how they evaluate the justice that they received or did not receive, then you will be able to provide them solutions. If you know that people need justice for their divorces, or people need justice for the crimes that they suffered, then you can focus on solutions which are responding to people's needs. And we do a lot of research. We ask tens of thousands of people to understand what they experience in their daily life and what they do, how much justice they receive or do not receive. We just finished the research in Ukraine, which shows that less than 3% of the very serious legal problems go to courts. They are resolved or not resolved outside of courts. When people in Ukraine have very serious legal problems, about half of them do nothing. Why? Mostly because they don't believe that they can do something. So with this knowledge, we can start justice innovations. The second step of innovating justice is to look at the justice system as a bundle of many different justice journeys. If you start to change the whole justice system, the whole legal system in a country, in a region, in the world, it's very difficult, probably impossible. But if we see the justice system as a bundle of many different problems for which people need fair resolutions, we can focus on the different problems. And justice journey by justice journey, we can start innovating, we can start changing. I will give you one example of justice innovation. In Bangladesh, it's very expensive to transfer land, and land is one of the most important capitals of people. It costs about 1,000 euros to do a transaction with land. This is causing huge corruption. About 70% of all disputes in Bangladesh are believed to be rooted somehow in land. A great NGO there, BRAC, invented a system which they call land entrepreneurs. Lay people are measuring the land with pretty cheap, not very accurate, but very affordable way for only a fraction of the cost of the expensive cadastre recognized system. This NGO managed to convince the Ministry of Justice or the policymakers in Bangladesh to recognize this as valid proof of land titles. And then they're helping thousands of people to resolve their problem, to transfer land. Why? Because they knew that the biggest problem is cost. They thought from the perspective of the people, and they delivered a solution. It might not be a grand-scale solution, but certainly it is helping thousands and soon hundreds of thousands of people in Bangladesh. And the third step of justice innovation, we believe, is after you do innovation, try to scale up, try to reach more and more people. And at HiiL Innovating Justice, we believe that soon The Hague will be called not only the International City of Peace and Justice, but also the International City of Peace, Justice, and Justice Innovation. Because every person deserves, when encountering a dispute or a grievance with public authorities or a crime, deserves us access to procedures which are fair, effective, affordable, and resolving the problem of the people. Thank you very much for your attention.